There's a moment in today's gospel where Jesus sounds like a father talking to his children before they step into a difficult and punishing world. He says, "Do not be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows." His voice, it's tender, it gets stronger, it's protective, it's provocative, the voice of someone who loves deeply and wants his adult children to stand tall in the faith. And on this Father's Day, that's exactly the voice many fathers need to hear. Matthew's gospel tells us the Father sees and knows everything. Jesus says, "Your Father knows every hair on your head." That's not poetry. It's an image, a picture of a father who is attentive, present, and invested in his children. It means Jesus is talking to you. And that's what Jesus invites both lay and ordained fathers to be. Not perfect, not supermen. Be present, be attentive, be engaging, a father who listens, a father who shows up, a father who loves with consistency. That's the heart of God. We all know those so-called good fathers. Many of us know the so-called struggling fathers, and we even know the so-called not-so-good fathers, sometimes all wrapped up into one. On Father's Day, we have to speak honestly. Not everyone grew up with the same kind of father. Some had a good father, steady, loving, responsible. Some had fathers who struggled, not out of malice, but out of their own wounds and limitations. And many had fathers somewhere in between. To understand the weight of today's readings, let me tell you a little bit about my own father. A good father, yes. An ordinary guy, working long hours, an 8th grade education, at age 16, an apprentice butcher sweeping blood and fat from the slaughterhouse floor in the company store. His dream being a military man. His break from poverty, the United States Marine Corps. Not overly sensitive or poetic, not overly emotional, not the type to give big speeches, but he shows up as best he could, always faithful, honoring the Marine motto. Every evening, exhausted from work, sitting at the kitchen table, sometimes alone, sometimes with his son. Not one for deep conversation. He'd ask how school was going. He listens, even when my stories were too long or silly. He fixed everything that was broken around the house. He shared what he could with his sons, hoping they learn life's lessons in a dog-eat-dog world, as he put it. His life spent being a dad for his sons' salvation, which meant for him he knew his sons were gifts from God, and one day those gifts must be returned to God in faith until his sons were on their own. He wasn't perfect. He got frustrated. He worried about the bills. I remember interrupting him. "You're always here praying." He shrugged and said, "Where else would I be?" as he continued to pray his rosary, looking into the mirror of our family dressing room. I wouldn't come to understand why until much later in years. That's a pretty good dad, don't you think? Not flashy, not flawless, just present, just steady, just being who he was, always faithful to his family. A father like my dad teaches us something simple and holy. Love is presence. Love is presence, not perfection, not big gestures. Show up every opportunity when you can. But there was another side to my father. He was there for us physically, but all too often struggled to be truly present in spirit, living in the same house, but emotionally somewhere else. He wasn't violent. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't intentionally hurtful. He was simply overwhelmed by work, by stress, by expectations he did not know how to deal with. Wounds he never talked about, fiercely patriotic, fiercely passionate, a Marine through and through, but that fierceness took its toll. He sacrificed himself for my mom. In Mom's heart and mind, she could never be married to a good Marine and be a Marine's wife. Mom didn't share Dad's dreams or support his career in the Marine Corps. Too young to understand, all I knew was that the family dynamic would never be the same. He returned to butchering beef. Every evening, Dad came home exhausted, working long hours, often fixing his own dinner. He'd sit in the rocking chair, TV on, his mind elsewhere. He wasn't ignoring his son. He just didn't realize how to shift from just surviving the day to being present at home. Neglecting his son, some of you might say, and I would say no. He simply didn't realize how much his presence in silence hurt. He just didn't understand how his own unhealed places, the trauma of 2 wars, could be passed on to his 2 sons without consequences. All these years later, I finally realized something quietly painful. You can have a father who loves you and still feel fatherless if he never learned how to be present in love, especially to his sons. A father like this doesn't wound out of malice. They just don't seem to have a hard time trying to express the love that they want to express. And I wonder how many adult children still feel the same ache. But here's the hope the gospel gives us. God can heal the adult child, and God can also heal the father. Some fathers learn late in life what they should have learned early on, that is, how to truly love their children. Some never learned or fully got there, or chose not to get it even though they knew what they were supposed to be doing. But God never stops offering his healing grace. Why? Because no story of absence love is beyond redemption, no father is beyond mercy, and no child or adult child is beyond loving again. On this Father's Day, God shows us again reconciliation with both kinds of fathers. How? 3 simple words. Saying, "I love you, Dad," strikes to the heart of any dad. 3 little words, the most precious gift that all dads need to hear every day. Second, honoring the gifts of your father that brings to the table, big and small alike. They may not matter to you, but they certainly matter to him. And third and most important, forgive your dad's imperfections and faults that come with being a human person. And for those dads who are struggling or who are not really very good dads, sometimes it means total forgiveness, come what may. Sometimes it means setting up difficult boundaries out of love. Sometimes it means letting go of the father you wish you had. Sometimes it means accepting the father you needed never existed. Reconciliation does not always mean a new relationship. It means being healed to every child who carries their father's wounds. It means releasing the poisons of past life's afflictions, never to be passed along to the next generation. But how do you even begin? Jesus says, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to heal. Do not be afraid to forgive. Do not be afraid to move forward, which means be courageous, like Jeremiah in our first reading. Stand firm in the faith. Be a Christian man, witnessing to the truths of Jesus, even when those around you don't want to hear it. Second, understand your influence as a dad. Like Adam or like Jesus, your choices shape generations to come, whether you realize it or not. Remembering always your actions and faith plant seeds for your kids and their kids, and no doubt will certainly outlive you. Third, reflect the heart of God the Father as a father. Be attentive, be present, be consistent. Be the father who listens, who shows up, who delights in being responsible for the family placed in his charge. A father doesn't have to be flawless. He just has to be faithful. And to all fathers, the strong, the struggling, the joyful, the exhausted, the confident, the uncertain, for every father, you are a gift from God, and never forget it. And know this: Almighty God sees you, Almighty God loves you, Almighty God walks with you always. I love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day.